Over the past 30 years, across England, the number going to church has fallen dramatically. In 1979, nearly 5.5 million people went to church on a Sunday. In 1989, that had fallen by 1 million. By 1998, the figure was down to 3.7 million. And by 2005, just over 3 million were attending church. That's a fall of 40%. If the decline continues at this rate, it's estimated that by 2020, there will be just 2.3 million, less than 5% of the population. It's a sobering statistic, and for many Christians, a depressing picture. But why has it happened? One of those not shy about voicing his criticisms of Christianity is atheist and newspaper columnist Johann Hari.
Hello, I'm Anne Whittaker.
Hi, Anne.
Hi, very good to see you.
He thinks he knows why my faith is in decline.
Johann, what have you got against Christianity and where do you think it's going?
Well, I absolutely defend the rights of Christians to say and argue whatever they want, to assemble however they want. If anyone ever tries to stop any democratic citizen in this country freely speaking and making their arguments, I'll be the first person on your side arguing in their defence. But look, Christianity has lost the argument. It's failing to persuade people. You are free to make your case and you've lost. And I think it's because the factual claims that Christianity makes have been proven to be false, and because the causes which the dying embers of Christianity have attached themselves to are pretty ugly ones.
Well, let's hold on just there for a few moments.
The teachings of Christianity are that you forgive people who've harmed you, that you pray for your enemies, that you turn the other cheek. I do not understand why you want those to be snuffed out.
I don't. They're human teachings. Do you think I don't have a concept of forgiveness because I'm an atheist?
I think that you would not immediately pray for your enemies.
I don't pray because I don't believe in a supernatural being, but I think I'm as forgiving to my enemies as you are to yours.
But the Christian creed preaches that forgiveness. It isn't down to individuals to come to that.
I teach my nephews to do that, and I'm an atheist. I teach them to think, try to understand where people are coming from.
Yes, you as an individual, but what I'm saying is that here you have an organisation which sets out to promote those values en masse.
Well, let's talk about the lessons they're being given. The lessons that those people are taught are, amongst other things, that they should campaign to retain laws that legally discriminate against gay people, that treat gay people as second-class citizens. I think Christianity will go into the same dustbin of history as, say, the worship of Zeus or Thor. And I think broadly that'll be a positive thing. Now, the values that you think of as Christian values, of forgiveness and kindness and charity, they will persist. But I think the kind of nasty dogmas that lead people to discriminate against gay people or treat women badly because they believe God commanded it, I think those will wither. I don't think they're persuading people.
I think Johann overlooks the pioneering role my faith had in making Britain the civilised nation it is today. In Britain, the Church of England has a privileged position. It's part of the establishment. That means, amongst other things, that its bishops have an automatic right to a say in the making of law. They claim to represent the people of their parishes. But if future generations don't go to church in the same numbers, how can this privilege and influence continue to be justified? There are 26 bishops in the House of Lords, who all have a voice and vote on government legislation. Not everyone agrees with that position, and some are calling for it to end. Like the former Liberal Democrat MP, Evan Harris.
Well, I think it's problematic because essentially what there is there's 26 seats reserved for socially conservative older men, and the House of Lords is not known to be short of socially conservative older men.
Is that their biggest crime in your eyes, that they're socially conservative?
Well, I think it's wrong that there should be people in our legislature as of right who are by definition social conservative, who are by definition male.
Never heard of left-wing bishops, Evan?
Well, They're socially conservative. So on issues to do with equality issues, for example, they take a particular view, and indeed that's what they're salaried to do. And we have this bizarre situation where people have to declare an interest and not involve themselves in debates when they have a vested financial interest, whereas bishops are salaried, and then go about defending the interests of their institution.
The bishops say that the Islamic faith and others strongly support their presence in the House of Lords because they are speaking up for religion in general.
Well, they do say that, but I think that is all part of the religious organisations supporting each other to uphold religious privilege. Let's be very clear. You don't need to have reserved places in the House of Lords in order for religious voices to be heard. They are all over the place. What we don't have is the chief humanist there. And non-religious beliefs, I think you would accept, are just as valid as beliefs as religious beliefs. They're not second-class citizens.
I wouldn't accept them as just as valid. I wouldn't be a Christian if I thought it was just as valid not to be.
Well, I don't mean as valid spiritually. I mean as they're not second-class citizens just because they don't have faith. Therefore, if we're going to get into the business of saying, well, we've got some bishops, we must have a Jew, let's see if we can find a Muslim just there on the basis of their religion, then where would it end?
My Lords, you would expect me to raise, at a time like this, the wider question of the place of religion and of bishops in our national life.
So what do the bishops, or the Lords Spiritual as they are known, say in response? I arranged to meet their convener in the House of Lords, Bishop Tim Stevens.
Some sceptics have pointed out that the only other country in the whole world which appoints the clergy to government is Iran.
Well, they may have noticed that Iran is a rather different country from this one. We're talking about something completely different here. Bishops are not in government. They don't introduce legislation. They're not ministers running departments. What they have is a voice in the debate and a vote in the outcome of amending legislation in one house.
And yet, there are some who contend that the bishops have too much influence when it comes to ethics, that it's the bishops who take a very tough line on social issues such as abortion and gay rights.
We represent about 4% of the House of Lords, and where it may be seen that our argument has prevailed, it's simply because others have agreed with us in very considerable numbers. We cannot be accused of being the determining voice. We're not.
But a lot of people would say, oh, hang on, you know, that you take very, very unpopular stands on things where the rest of the world has moved on.
In many ways, we're often more in touch with general public opinion than the government is. I'll give you an example. The debate here about declaring war on Iraq, the bishops came to the view that there was no ethical ground for declaring war at the time. Many years later, there are a lot of people who would agree with the position we took at the time. And I think we believe that we have a responsibility to continually raise the question, what is the common good of the people of England? And are politicians under extreme pressure, having to take difficult decisions on the hoof? Do they need to be reminded of some of the larger ethical frameworks which that idea of the common good raises? That's our great vocation here, that's our calling, that's what we try to do.